Is it live yet? Okay, I just want to make sure there's no echo in the background when I start it. I'm about ready. It's going to be a little ranty, okay? This is a little bit of a rant. My view, look, I don't know, like things show up in my feed and on social media and whatnot. So, and I see people comment on these things. And honestly, like, I'm going to tell you, I've had people tell me, like, on and off for a couple of years since I kind of started TikTok. And I'm not a teenager, okay? I'm not a little kid. I'm a woman over 30. And yes, I use TikTok. Oh no, Alonzi. I use TikTok. TikTok's fun. I love 70s music. I love 80s music. There's a lot of cool music. Do you know what else I love about TikTok? Like decorating tips, home tips, education tips. There are all sorts of TikToks that are kind of cool. Now, I think there's some reasons that people don't like TikTok. Right now, a lot of people are talking about, I mean, you see congressional hearings on the news. You see studies about how social media can cause depression and all sorts of things. Well, didn't television, magazines, books, whatever technology, whatever media was consumed en masse in a certain time period create those same problems? Yes, of course. So there are myriad of reasons why some people don't like TikTok. Some of it's political. Like, yes, a Chinese company owns TikTok. Some people are like, well, it may be affiliated with the government of China. Well, that could be true with any social media. That could be true with YouTube. That could be true with Instagram. I mean, honestly, politically, if you study the world and you kind of know what's going on in the world, China's the rising superpower. There are certain things, like if you look at it seriously, that, yeah, I'm not going to be like a total hippy dippy liberal. Like, I have some liberal viewpoints, but I'm not a liberal in that I'm just going to go along with saying, yeah, like social credits is a great idea. No, I have concerns. I know, like, a lot of people just think anything that has the word socialist attached to it is great, and they haven't studied history and they haven't seen, like, there's a problem in the USSR. But if you look at the holders of TikTok, they're actually based in Singapore, and we don't know concretely if they're an affiliate of the Chinese government or not. It may be, but YouTube could be, Instagram could be, Facebook could be, any media conglomerate could be to some extent. So, I mean, I don't think that that's a reason that you shouldn't use TikTok, my view, okay? Because if you're worried about it being tainted by certain political groups, like, that's all social media, okay? That's just part of globalization. I'm not saying that that's always good, but I mean, I don't totally hate the Chinese for inventing TikTok either. Like, there are some really creative things with it, like the backdrops, how you could change your background, and the technology behind it. Like, you kind of have to admire that. So even if you don't like TikTok for some political reason, maybe if you looked at it, you could say, hey, some of the technological advances with TikTok are interesting. Another thing, some people don't like it politically. I'm not a Trumpy. I'm not a Trump supporter, but some people don't like it because I guess, young people use TikTok to roast Donald Trump, and they told everybody go buy tickets to one of his conventions and not show up. So that's another reason people don't like TikTok. Some people just don't like social media in general, but I mean, I don't ever want to get down on other people's viewpoint. People can have any viewpoint they want, but sometimes it feels kind of weird that people go on social media to say they don't like certain kinds of social media, but they're not exactly at home just having a conversation about it. They're on the internet on another website. And that's a valid point. Like, look, you can hate a certain website. You don't have to use it. You don't have to use TikTok. You don't have to use Instagram. You don't have to use Tumblr, Facebook, whatever. But I don't think these sites are the problem in themselves. All new technology is good, or new things. Like, look, when the Beatles came to America in 1964, all the parents were like, oh my God, like all our daughters are going to run out and have crazy sex with men. And oh my God, they look too sexy. They said the same thing about Elvis. I mean, really, if you look at the history, like, here's an example. Let me just do a screen share of how technology sometimes can, I'm also going to go into why I don't think that TikTok is as bad as you think. What are you looking at on TikTok? That might be the problem, not the TikTok itself. My view. Like, and then at the end, I'm just gonna say like, why I can like something even if other people don't like it. That's gonna be kind of my whole consensus about it. Like, I guess, like, so that's why I don't comment on other people's like videos if they say they don't like social media or something, or like I feel like, well, I'm not gonna chime in on that discussion because I feel like, well, everybody has their own viewpoint, but I just kind of wanted to offer an alternate viewpoint. So here's a Smithsonian article, and I think it's very interesting. Like, if you think about technology and history and how things change, texting isn't the first social media technology thought to impair social skills. And I was thinking about this. I was remembering, Alexander Graham Bell on the telephone. Like, is text messaging driving us apart? These days, we talk to each other a lot with our thumbs, mashing out 6 million text messages a day in the United States, and likely a few million on services like WhatsApp and Facebook, and now TikTok. Because in 2016, there was no TikTok. But some worry that so much messaging leads to paradoxically to less communication. When Sherry Treckle, MIT clinical psychologist and author, interviewed college students, they said texting was causing friction in their face-to-face interactions. While hanging out with friends, they'd be texting surreptitiously. They're secretly doing it at the same time, pretending to maintain eye contact, but mentally somewhere else. I want to tell you something, okay? People did that before text messaging. Like, if you were in school in the 90s, most people didn't have a cell phone. And if they did back in the day, it didn't really text, okay? Kids would read passing notes. Like, they passed notes. In fact, last night we did a live stream with Kate Gladstone where we talked about a young boy on film who drew notes in class, drew pictures in class. Like, kids have always been distracted. People have always been distracted. I don't think the new technology changes that. It's just a different tool that they're using. That's my view. Like, I guess I have like this outlier opinion on it. Like, I don't think it's the social media platform or the device you're using that's causing the problem. I think maybe if you don't like certain content on there, that could be the problem, but it doesn't mean that the whole thing is bad. Like, that's kind of the argument that Amish people have for not really using much technology. And I feel like we can kind of go to both ends of the extreme. I feel like balance. I'm a Libra, okay? So somebody said yesterday, like, what's your astrological sign? I was thinking, you know what? Maybe being a Libra has a lot to do with it because I'm always thinking of balance. Like, I'm not even into the woo-woo side of astrology, but I think there's something to it. I kind of like to look at both ends of the spectrum. So when somebody says something's really bad or not good for you, I like to think about history. Well, let's keep reading this article. Well, basically people were texting when they were pretending to be talking to each other face to face. Our texts are fine, one student said. It's what texting does to our conversation when we're together that's the problem. Plenty of people agreed, but I'll tell you this. When I was a kid, I remember people weren't always present. They were writing notes to their friends. They were distracted. They were doing things like it just was a different medium they were using, okay? A young journalist recently argued that texting is inferior to talking face-to-face because it's too easy to misinterpret. Oh my gosh. That is loaded. You know what? How many times have you talked to somebody where there's a misunderstanding or people just have two different viewpoints or somebody says something and I can tell you this right now, having person-to-person discussions, I've been told that something I said was like me making a decision when it really wasn't. It was just something I was sharing, but somebody misinterpreted something I said in a face-to-face discussion that had nothing to do with texting in the moment. Right then, and I was like, oh, okay. So I don't think it's the technology that's always the problem. Maybe it's just the way we interact with each other, right? I don't know. I guess I'm the outlier on this topic and everybody else. And maybe too what it was like sometimes if you like something, like this is what it is. I don't want to share it with some people. Like sometimes I won't tell somebody that I like something because you feel like you'll be attacked for it, or you like if you share that you enjoy something, sometimes it loses its like value, or so it doesn't feel as fun anymore because people will like I kind of Debbie down on it, and you're like, so technologies often unsettle the way we relate to one another, of course, but social ruptures caused by texting have strong echoes in the arguments we had 100 years ago. That's when the newfangled appliance gave us a strange new way to contact one another en masse. The telephone, yes. People thought telephones. I don't know if you look into the history of this. I remember when I actually wrote a report in like 6th grade about Alexander Graham Bell. People thought that was horrible, that you weren't going to go to your neighbors and talk to them face to face. When Alexander Graham Bell introduced his telephone in March 1876, the invention was riddled with problems. The line was a crackly mess, prone with interference from nearby electrical lines, and it was powered by battery that leaked acid. Still, it allowed for a remarkable unmooring experience. For the first time, you could talk in real time to someone blocks or miles away. It was like a voice from another world, marveled one early user. Bell quickly improved the quality, and the customers thronged. In the first year, over 3,000 telephones sold. By 1900, there were over 1 million telephones nationwide. At first, the telephone was marketed mainly as a tool for business. Physicians and drugstores bought them to process orders, and business owners installed them at home so they could be quickly reached. The phone, proclaimed early ad copy, gave business leaders an ESP like 6 cents, like basically before the internet, before social media. Like, that's another thing too. Like, I feel like I don't really love corporations. Like, I know like there's a lot of problem with like big corporations, but I like the small business owners. Like, I like it when the small business owner gets a chance to get ahead. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of free market lady. So I guess like my free market like vibe kind of shines through here. Like, that's cool. The idea of using such a powerful tool for everyday conversation, that seemed laughable and obnoxious. One early social critic warned that the phone should not be used for exchange of twaddle between foolish women. Does that sound familiar? Like, oh, like maybe what they talk about people using social media like for silly reasons, or I don't know. Like, they said the same thing about the telephone, okay? They said that this is old as the world is round, okay? I'm just saying, but that's my take on it. Businessmen prohibited their wives from tying up the line, lest they interfere with commerce. That's kind of sexist. At the beginning, women were forbidden to use the phone, and business was supposed to have the priority, notes Michelle Martin, a professor emeritus of Canada's Carleton University and author of Hello Central. But it quickly became apparent that people wanted to talk, to socialize. One phone company manager in 1909 did a survey of usage and found that 30% of all calls were idle gossip. This was in the early 1900s, everyone. Lasting 7.15 minutes on average. He didn't like the chit-chat, but he was running against the stream. Eventually, phone firms realized there was more money in selling lines for banter than for business. They realized we can make money off gossip and idle conversation and sociability, on the telephone, just like with social media. Like, nothing's new under the sun, guys. Like, so if you don't like social media, I totally get that. But just keep in mind, it's not the device, it's not the technology, it's not the app that's the problem. Actually, it's just like what people do with it. Like, if you don't okay, I always harken this back to, like, my mom used to work for a cable company, okay? And there would be people that were just very incensed that they showed spring break bikini girls on MTV. Okay. How dare they? They would call the cable company. And this was before you had like a TiVo or, a DVR or any kind of streaming service where you could like maybe block the channel. They would be like, how dare this channel be on TV? Like, what's it doing on there? This is going to corrupt my children. And all my mom could tell them was, well, you can change the channel. Or do you want to cancel your cable service? Or nowadays, do you want to block the channel? I mean, I don't know. That's the thing, okay? So there might be certain content in the world that you don't think is great. But once again, I guess this is my Libra. This is just the Libra within me. Balance, okay? I don't like it when anything goes to one end of the extreme or the other. So when we think about like, oh my gosh, people are idly texting. Well, people thought that about the telephone, and people thought the telephone was stupid. But within a few years, the telephone started taking off. Within a few years, companies were emphasizing how they could reduce isolation and bring friends together. Remember how during the pandemic they were telling everybody that they should socialize on social media, but then now again, okay, they didn't want people to go out, they didn't want people, to curb the spread of COVID, but now they're telling people again, well, maybe social media isn't good because, oh my gosh, it might cause depression or people might look at bad things. Okay, so that's enough of this article. What I'm going to do is I want to talk next about, is TikTok bad? I don't think TikTok's bad. I don't think TikTok's the problem. I think maybe it's just how you use TikTok. Like maybe if you look at TikTok that's like kind of pro and a TikTok, yeah, there are things that are troubling on TikTok, but YouTube has a lot of pro Anna content that I find disturbing. Like, honestly, okay, I'm a plant-based person, but what's really disturbing is there's still a lot of YouTube content with women that talk about how you can eat like this to be like super real thin. There's a lot of carnivore stuff that promotes like really unhealthy eating too. Once again, no balance. So like, is that YouTube's fault that people put that content out there? Is that TikTok's fault that people put the content out there? These things have gone on since the world is round. Like, I just feel like the more you study history, the more you see things haven't really changed. Like, yes, we have different technologies that allow us to connect with each other, but it can be positive too. Because, I really love music. Like, I love 70s and 80s music. And it's kind of fun to just go on TikTok and look at TikTok and make little TikToks with like 70s theme music, like, or 80s music. Like, I'm not doing what's like the most popular song, but I don't know. And then my sister, like, she taught me some really cool things with TikTok. Like, she was following a TikTok account and she doesn't spend all day on it. She just looks at it occasionally. But like, we found out about the Ibotta app and we found out about Go Fetch. And I'm up to like a credit of almost $50 on my Ibotta app. And I might make a video about that soon. And I haven't cashed it in yet, but that's going to be a gift card just for shopping that I ordinarily do, like for my grocery shopping. So that's something she found out about on TikTok. And there's like some just drawing channels that I like. And these people also have YouTube. So I don't know. I don't feel like TikTok's bad. I don't think TikTok's evil. Like maybe I should show you my TikToks. Like, I think my TikToks are kind of cool and fun. Like, maybe I take it personally when people say, oh, like, this is so bad. But I don't think so. Like, I think that's why I guess at this point in my life, I'm just like, I'm going to do things my own way every day. I get that not everybody's going to agree with how I do things. But, I have my own style and I have my own way of dealing with the world and my own interactions with the world. And I just don't think TikTok's evil. I think if you're a Libra, do you believe in balance? Do you know that back in the day, the telephone was considered evil and idle? Well, you could say the same thing about TikTok, I guess. I don't know. You could say the same thing about anything. So, yeah, boy, I feel fiery. Like, I'm just like, it's my own little opinion. Like, that's why I decided not to like share my opinion, because I know like people don't really agree with me. But this is my second TikTok actually. But I'll show this one, I guess. Let's see. This is the one I'm going to show. Like, I have another TikTok. It's a long hair TikTok, but I'll just share the TikTok I'm kind of beginning to like grow up a bit. Because I still like the hair TikTok, but it wasn't as fun for me because I wasn't able to do as many creative things. So I now have just a vlogging TikTok where I share different things. One thing I shared was this cute little video of a chiwennie.
You're a chiwennie. I thought you were a chihuahua. You're a chiwennie.
It's so cute. I love my sister's dog.
So sweet. You're a chiwennie. I thought you were a chihuahua. You're a chiwennie.
I just thought that was fun. And then I'll show you another one that I like to do little TikToks that are fun. Here's my sister's dog. So cute. I spelled Chihuahua. Okay, I don't love everything about TikTok. I can be like balanced on it. Okay. One thing I don't like about TikTok is you can't go back and edit your like tag if you spell it wrong. I was trying at first. I thought my sister's dog was a Chihuahua, but actually TikTok helped me figure it out. It was a chiwennie. So sometimes TikTok's kind of interesting. And then let me share some other things. Okay, so I do another live stream with my friend Aya Katz, and I promoted like part of the folk sing on TikTok. And I thought that was kind of cool. That was another way to just share something I'm working on in a vlogging content. So I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna be an outlier here, and I get everybody really loves a lot of people don't like TikTok, I guess, like, or they don't like whatever social media it is. But if you're on the internet saying you don't like a certain part of technology, I'm just like, I don't really get it. Like, okay. It would kind of be like being in the grocery store and saying that you don't like milk when you're buying soda. I'm like, you're still in the store. Like, but that's just my viewpoint. I'm like, okay, you don't have to use the new technology, but just keep in mind, if you study the history of the world, there's always a new thing that comes along. And like I just shared in that Smithsonian article, people were worried about people wasting their time on the telephone and idle gossip. And they said that it wasn't as good as in-person interaction. But like they were saying in that article, some people are talking to each other in person and they were still texting. Like I just remember from when I was in school, or even now as an adult, like sometimes when there's no phone involved and you're talking to people, like they're not always present, like, and there can still be like misunderstandings. I don't know, like I guess I'm weird, like I guess I'm the outlier here. But I've kind of realized something too, like if I like something and I enjoy it, like I just won't always tell people, because it makes you feel like, oh, like you're not as cool, or you're not as fun, or like you're not as deep. But I know that it's not true about myself. Like that's just other people's interpretation of something. I get that a lot of people don't like social media these days, but I don't think social media is the problem. I think it's certain content. And like I was saying, like on TikTok, there's a lot of, well, for instance, on my other TikTok account, like there's a lot of really cool things like that pop up, and I'm like, pretty positive stuff. I don't spend all day on it or anything. It doesn't consume my whole life. But just like interesting stuff, like, oh, it's like a dog. Like, is that bad? It's a dog. Like, I don't know. Like, once you start looking for things that you like on TikTok, I would see a lot of really interesting stuff. And here's something about a friendly reminder: always be aware of your surroundings. It's about like telling people about public safety. Is that bad? I don't know. Like, yeah, maybe when you first start using TikTok, you're going to see a lot of like trendy young people stuff. But when you start searching and actually start posting some content that you like it will become more tailored to what you're looking for. And there's some interesting stuff on there occasionally. And here's another thing. I don't watch TV. Like some people watch TV. I don't really watch shows. Like I do my YouTube channel, and yeah, I do my social media to share some of what I'm doing on my YouTube channel, but I don't think social media, I don't think TikTok's the problem. And another thing too, I was also going to say about with COVID, or just if you're into talking to people from different cultures and things, or you're more introverted, maybe social media isn't so bad, because it's a way that you could communicate with people without like going out to like social events. Because even though right now I know like things are stabilizing a bit, some people still don't feel comfortable like going out and socializing, and social media is a way for them to be connected with the world in some way. And I mean, it's kind of just like, I don't know, like people used to have pen pals. They used to write people from around the world. I don't think that every technology has to be a bad thing. I always want to be an early adopter of all the new technologies, and I'll tell you why. Because I want to remain curious about the world and learn new things while maintaining an interest in the things that I always find fascinating. And it's also a good way, like if you're interested in something like cooking or art or history, like you could make a TikTok channel and share that. There are teachers that make TikTok channels. Like they're, like I said, decorators. Like it's a cool way for small businesses to connect with new customers. There's a lot of cool things you can do with TikTok. I don't think it's the bad thing that everybody thinks it is. I'm not saying everybody thinks that. I think some people are just so immersed in either loving something or not liking something, or like I'm just like, I guess this is just the Libra in me. I'm always looking for the balance in something. Is that it? Kind of. Anyway, Amma to Weld, and thanks for watching. So and Amma to Weld, and have a great day.